Thank you for staying. Let's settle for the news now. And in our very first story, former Energy Minister Boakye Agyarko is hoping he will be among the top 5 candidates who will emerge from the 10 persons seeking to lead the governing New Patriotic Party as flag bearer. The Super Delegates Conference of the NPP is expected to prune the number of contestants to 5 as the contest gets tougher. Mr. Agyarko says his message is to return power to the grassroots of the party, and he is the best to hand the NPP victory in 2024. Kweku Asante of our political desk has the rest of the story.
With barely 3 weeks to go, Boakye Agyarko is ramping up his message to delegates as he hopes to be part of the 5 of 10 candidates the super delegates of the NPP will endorse to contest the party's flag bearership in November. The former energy minister believes the current economic challenge could pose a threat to the party's challenges in 2024.
I admit, but all difficult times require new leadership and new thinking. Yes, the NPP, we've done very well. But I can tell you, we can do better and we must do better. We cannot rest on our oars and pat ourselves on the back for what we did yesterday. The people of Ghana will accept us for what we commit to do tomorrow for their well-being.
Boakye Agyarko has a message to his contenders who believe they can win the 2024 election simply because of their so-called special qualities.
Our winning 2024 is not going to be on the back of somebody's magic. It is not going to be one person. It is going to be people like you who are going to go down to the grassroots, polling stations to work for our victory. That is why I count you more important. No one person is going to win victory for us in 2024. It is going to be you. Therefore, we have to energize you. We have to make you ready. You have to make you happy to fight for this party for 2024.
According to him, whilst breaking the 8 is a laudable goal, it appears short-sighted.
I am interested in this party retaining power for the next 40 years. Not just breaking the 8. Not just breaking the 8. Be in power for the next 40 years. This is the only way we are going to change this country. It is going to depend on you. 40 years I will not be here. But the party will, and we must build a strong party that you are comfortable in. Most importantly, that you receive the reward of your hard work.
On 26th of August, when the super delegates vote, he wants them to remember him as the candidate who will return power to the grassroots.
Reward and hard work. And I commit to you, those who are gathered here and the silent majority of supporters around this country, that indeed the time is coming that you will receive your just reward for all the hard work you do for your party.
In our next story, Deputy Minister of Transport Alhassan Tampuli says government remains committed to a gradual and convenient shift towards the use of electric vehicles in the country. The minister, who was speaking at a consultative meeting on electric vehicle policy in the Techiman municipality, emphasized this would foster collaboration and generate inputs from the region's transport ecosystem to help in the implementation of the policy. Correspondent Anna Sabit has more in this report.
The Deputy Minister for Transport and Member of Parliament for Gushegu constituency, Alhassan Tampuli, has reiterated government's commitment towards ensuring that Ghana is not left behind so far as the transition from the use of fossil fuel vehicles to electric vehicles is concerned to help curb greenhouse gas emissions and global warming.
What we are doing here is what you normally call the bottom-up approach. We are building pressure from the bottom engage all various stakeholders. From the regional stakeholder engagement, we will engage various identifiable groups. Every identifiable group that you perceive of around, we'll be engaging them to get their perspectives. Perchance somebody would have some idea that is going to be even more revolutionary than we ever thought. What we do know is that we have a commitment as far as our carbon emissions are concerned, and that is what is going to guide us in taking this final decision as to exactly when we need to do. But we are minded that our carbon, emissions have to be less than 1.5 degrees Celsius.
He emphasized that steps are far advanced to ensure that the private sector is part of the implementation program to help facilitate the smooth takeoff of the policy.
What you saw in the presentation are largely private sector driven. So what we are going to have, and when we spoke to one of the groups, they were minded to provide about 250 charging ports across the country. They will provide some in Accra, some in Kumasi, and some in Takoradi. And then the next place they will go to will be Tamale. And what it also means is that whilst you are doing in those cities, you may have to provide charging ports along the routes, because the vehicle has to travel all the way to the places. So they are going to have charging ports as we move along. So basically, the private sector is going to drive this, and we are going to give the private sector every incentive and opportunity for them to be able to drive this initiative.
He was, however, quick to commend the participants of the forum for their insightful inputs and asked that the public engagement has been largely successful.
It's been a very great experience as far as the stakeholder engagements in the Bono East region here in Teshima is concerned. As you saw from the gathering, the contributions that we got from various participants was highly illuminating. So I think that all in all, we are very impressed. And I think that also, it appears that people are even more aware of the advent of electric vehicles more than we ever thought.
Deputy Director in charge of Renewable Energy, Doris Dodu, stated that government is creating an enabling environment to help promote the acceptance as well as the use of electric vehicles within the shortest possible time.
Definitely, government will not do something that should shun off customers from using EV. If we say we are promoting, then we have to create the enabling environment for this to become a reality. So in terms of accessing green financing schemes to bring on incentives for users is possible. We are still at the initial stages of putting things on board, looking at if it's possible to look at tax waivers and other things that government is in talk now. So it's something that we do to make sure that everybody gets on board and we get a better use for our electricity that we generate.
Anna Sabit, Joy News, Techiman.
Now, human rights activists are excited about the passage of a law criminalizing the declaration, accusation, naming, or labeling of another person as a witch in Ghana. Hajia Laminatu Adam, executive director of Songtaba in the northern region, says the law needs individual effort to end that crime completely. She spoke to Mahmoud Mohammed Nuruddin.
I think this is much more individualistic responsibility towards justice. We need to continuously talk to people to respect people's human rights.
Hajia Lamnatu Adam is one of the human rights activists who championed the enactment of the law to criminalize the declaration, accusation, naming or labeling of another person as a witch.
In the coming months, we want to see a lot of education, especially for those of us around this area who are, a bit deep-seated about issues on witchcraft. And you and I know what happens to any person who is accused of being a witch. I mean, you are lynched, you are banished, your property is destroyed.
However, the reintegration of persons who have been at witch camps could be difficult. Hajia Lamnatu responds to how this might be accomplished, given that those who believe in witchcraft may still be living in the communities.
How do we talk to the women to accept reintegration, and what progress or processes we need to follow to get them safely reintegrated in the communities of their choice, not necessarily where they were banished from. And so for me, I see that this is even where work will begin.
The existence of the witch camps has economic benefits to the camp priest, so how easy will it be for them to be closed down?
Well, we cannot deny that the existence of the camps has some economic benefit that goes to the camp priest. And so we need to look at the economic aspect of it. How do we set up all of these camp priests, to be economically maybe fit? How do we talk to the women to accept reintegration, and what progress or processes we need to follow to get them safely reintegrated?
Now, female candidates in the Wa East district of the Upper West region taking part in this year's Basic Education Certificate examination have been given menstrual pads to forestall any setbacks while they sit their exams. This follows the donation of these pads by Member of Parliament for Wa East, Dr. Godfred Seidu Jasso. Rafiq Salam now reports.
Ever since he took over as the legislature of the Wa East constituency, Dr. Godfred Seidu Jasso had education as one of his priority areas. He had his eyes firmly focused on. For the past 4 years, he has donated mathematical sets, organized and funded mock examinations for candidates in the Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE, in the constituency.
Most of them come from poor households. They are not able to afford mathematical sets and other support for these candidates. You know the critical role of mathematical sets in most of the exams they write. And so I've been doing this in the last 3 or 4 years. I've also been organizing mock exams to support them, prepare them adequately for these exams. Fortunately, we've recorded, in fact, we have always been first place in the region. And so I intend to keep this record for my students in my BEC students in Wa East.
With the BEC slated to begin on Monday, August 7, Dr. Godfred Jasso has this year added sanitary pads to items on his donation list for onward distribution to the female candidates who will be taking part in the examination.
Now, there have been a lot of reports of some females that engage in sex trade to be able to afford sanitary pads. Indeed, some of them even struggle, and it can be very embarrassing for them. Some stay out of school and so on. So this year, I've resolved that I will support them with these sanitary pads to take them at least the next 3 months. So the package we are giving them will support them for 3 months. This should give them peace of mind during the exam. If any situation like that arises, they have sanitary pads to be able to take care of themselves. Whilst they are waiting for the results, they will also be able to take care of themselves in the next 3 months. And so this is my widow's mind to support them, make sure that my female students in particular are well prepared and well psychologically stable to be able to undertake these exams.
The donation of the sanitary pads and mathematical sets were done on behalf of the West Member of Parliament, Dr. Godfred Jasso, by his administrative assistant, Abdul Latif Kaburi, starting at the Menwudie JHS. A total of 1,250 students, comprising 713 boys and 537 girls, are taking part in this year's examination. 30 of them are at the Menwudie JHS, and each of them were given a mathematical set, while the 20 females among them, in addition, were handed over the sanitary pads. Wise District Director of the Ghana Education Service, Isa Jinsong, thanked the MP for the kind gesture.
I think this is very good because he's a lecturer, he knows a lot about education, and he has been supporting us a lot. There's nothing you go and tell him and he will turn his back to it. He has renovated some of our schools and has provided us with furniture and a lot of things, even sponsoring needy but brilliant students in the districts.
Some of the beneficial students also have kind words for the MP.
The part is going to help us in our menstrual hygiene, and the mouth side is going to help us in our education. So we really appreciate for giving us this offer.
Will help us to write our BEC, not going for our fathers to buy market for us, and we will be very happy to thank Dr. Said Jessel for presenting this message for this year BEC 2023.
One thing unique about the What Is District is that for the past 5 years, they have been leading the charge in terms of the best performance of the BEC in the Upper West region. Madam Esther Johnson told us about the secret and how they have been able to be on top of the chart.
Wherever I go, I use myself as a role model to the children. Talk to them. I am a visually impaired person, but by the grace of God, I've risen up to this level. And it's not for nothing, it's because of education. So they, with their sight, can even do better than I. So with those motivational talks, at least they do their best, and this is the results we have.
Reporting for Joy News, Rafik Salam, Manwe.
Later. But in our next story, the National Lottery Authority has launched the new draw machine to aid in its gaming activities. Director General Samuel Oku says these random number generators have been procured to aid corporate promotions. There's more in this report.
After 27 years, the National Lottery Authority is doing away with old and obsolete machines used for its various gaming platforms. The authority ushered in new technologically advanced machines for efficient and reliable draws. Director General of the National Lottery Authority, Samuel Awuku, says the new equipment are in line with the modern dictates in the industry.
It has become mandatory that after 27 dedicated years of service, we phase them out. This is by virtue of the inability of the godmother machines, as we used to call them, to function as they should. Additionally, the Honorable Minister, the machines have become obsolete and their manufacturers are no longer producing the spare parts needed to sometimes fix them when they break down. This has become increasingly challenging to the operations of the National Lottery Authority.
Minister of Defense Dominic Nitiwo has issued a warning to illegal private lottery operators. He indicated that in order for the state to profit from cash generated by lotto operations in Ghana, the sector's illegalities must be addressed.
We cannot allow private people to hijack what is duly yours. Let's follow up and ensure that people do not commit illegalities in the lotto industry. It's not acceptable. Just Africa's here, they take more than 10 times what you do here. Nigeria is more than 100 times what you do here. Lotto should be a cash cow, and we must flush out the illegal people to ensure that Lotto is a cash cow to the nation.
So how is the NLA dealing with illegal lotto operators? Here is the Director General of the National Lottery Authority, Samuel Awuku.
We're also going to go tough on the illegal lotto operators. You heard the Defense Minister, the NLA together with the military, the Ghana Revenue Authority, and the state enforcement agencies. We are going to go after all these illegal operators who are wielding almost 600 million cedis every year illegally by operating lotto and do not contribute in any way or form or shape by paying their taxes to support the state. Neither do they support good causes. So you have very few people amassing all these and not supporting the state.
The new initiative by NLA is expected to give people multiple chances to win. For Joy News, Jacqueline Ansuma Yeboah.
It's a wrap for the news, but do stay with us. Shortly, we're joined by Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante of the University of Ghana as we get into the news review.